Hello, we're back. Tim here. We're back today with another how-to for BushLinx software and looking at the live data mapping systems that we run. Today we're using our installation with the Wimmera Catchment Management Authority, which is a project that they put together encompassing a few different types of monitoring systems and hardware, which we've pulled all the data together into the BushLinx system to display a central system for the whole, I think it's 5 different manufacturers of data loggers and weather station and soil moisture probe data. So when this LiveMaps first load, you'll notice in here that all of our mapping is time-based. It's 12:45 p.m. At the top there for the current time slot. Because there's a few different types of hardware that's being used here, depending on their capabilities and the data feed coming through to BushLinx, some of those dots don't quite show up all at once. We display the data basically for whatever's available for that time slot as you're viewing it. So if you do load a map at, let's say, 12:45 and 30 seconds, you'll start to see more and more dots show up as you refresh the screen and more data becomes available. Case in point, we've just crossed the 15-minute threshold and we've already got 2 sites have reported in here. So to see all of them, we just skip back a timestamp until the rest of the sites have reported in. So in this way, we can display the most current data that we've got available for any particular given site. So on first use, when you load this up, air temperature displays by default. If you go to the layers icon on the right hand side, you can change your layers there. The Bureau of Met radar, our implementation of it shows up. You can turn that on and off and choose whichever layer you are interested in looking at the time. The rainfall layer is perhaps one of the most interesting ones this year, being a very wet year. The one I've selected is a daily rainfall sum, the total for each day, for the last 7 days. So if you skip back through time, you'll be able to see each day with the date at the top there and the daily sum of rain for that day at each one of the sites. So in BushLinx, as we skip through the timestamps, you'll notice the changes in colours. The colour ramping that we're using is low values in blue, high values in red, so that for the data set you've loaded, you can see the change across the landscape through time very, very easily. And for those layers that have threshold values associated, if you hover over the icons, you'll be able to see what those threshold values are. As well as the dots, we also transform the data into a surface layer. When there's very little change, of course, it's terribly uninteresting color changes. As we skip through, if we use something like temperature, for example, you'll be able to see those colors changing across the landscape as time passes. So the layering system we've used here, I'll just skip back to dots. The layering system we've used here, it'll remember the last layer that you've looked at. So if you do have a favorite thing that you're looking at all the time, it should be remembering that layer and bringing that up as the default layer next time you log in. So we can see today for the last number of hours, we can see those color changes across the landscape and how the temperature is changing throughout the day. In that way, we find feedback from customers is that a lot of people are watching things like delta T in particular. When you're spraying, they're watching that change across the landscape as changes come in and higher and lower values are moving towards and away from you, and seeing how long you might be able to keep spraying for. For the Wimmera system here, when you click on any of these sites, at a Mach 2, for example, you'll be able to get the live data panel that comes up, the weather panel, I should say, which allows you to see all of the sensors for the latest timestamp. Clicking on one of these sensors will bring up a chart for the recent data, and that works for all of the sensors here. The table is, of course, tabular data. That was included from customer feedback, where people wanted to be able to copy out a record and stick it somewhere else, perhaps a spray journal or something like that. And from here, we can go to the dashboard for that particular site, which will be the next video.